Da, 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 da. Welcome to the 10th anniversary of Talk Wrestling here, of course, on NoDQ.com and the NoDQ channel on YouTube at NoDQ CAW or enter NoDQ, whatever you prefer. It's amazing to think that 10 years ago, this very day, which today is Sunday, July 16, 2017, July 16, 2007, Talk Wrestling premiered. Of course, it was in the wake of the Chris Benoit double murder suicide, and we were talking about people on media outlets that were being buttholes, and it wasn't fun. So, but yeah, it's been a wild, crazy 10 years. Later on today on the show, we're going to have a very special guest. Her name is Jexy. She is a aspiring professional wrestler, and she may be the first addition to the brand new House of Meacham if I ever get back into the business. So stay tuned for her. For now, though, we've got your questions. I literally had 25 different questions come in from all of you out there who wanted to support the 10th anniversary of Talk Wrestling. So thank you so much for that. Let's get right into it. Isaac R. Ledford at Isaac DeWan. There we go. I got it. When Vince is gone, can Triple H finally push the people he wants? I think the current situation right now is that Vince is still in charge, but Hunter has more of his ear. He has more say than he ever has. Excuse me. However, Vince is still number one. He's still the guy. He's still head boss in charge. The problem with Triple H pushing the guys he has right now is Vince is the ultimate decider, and he decides to, bury these guys or not use them to full potential. Kind of like, most of the tag teams from NXT that have come up, or, some of the other like Finn Balor got hurt. That sucks for him. But, the various NXT talents that have come up have not been showcased in a way that was conducive to them being successful in WWE on the main roster. So if Vince does retire or go away, whatever, we may see a influx of proper booking for the talents that are coming up. Let us hope to God. I'm Zadi Dos Santos at ADS_Ami. Which WrestleMania entrance from Triple H was the best? My favorite was the WrestleMania 22 against John Cena. Hard to argue against that, really. I mean, the whole Conan the Barbarian thing, the original King of Kings entrance with the whole music and everything, it was very well done. I have a personal favorite myself. It is WrestleMania 21, the year before, when he faced Batista for the World Championship. With Lemmy and Motorhead, our buddy Lemmy and Motorhead playing him out. He came up through the stage and did the whole entrance and everything. That was really cool. WrestleMania 21 and 22 are probably my favorite. I did like the one where he threw the sledgehammer through the glass and exploded. That was kind of cool, too. I think that was 25. I won't start about that, though. I'm not really sure. Our buddy Jishnu Vijayan has several questions, so let's go ahead. Actually, he has four. Is WWE catering to the hardcore wrestling fans the last 2 years have resulted in a decrease of television ratings? Is WWE catering to the hardcore wrestling fans the last 2 years resulted in the decrease in... No, completely the opposite, as a matter of fact. WWE catering to the casual fan, the people that are trying to, come in for the first time. That's the problem. WWE is catering to all those guys and not catering to myself or Aaron or the people that have been watching from the very beginning of the WWE's existence back in the 80s. Us hardcore fans, you want to call us that, us loyal WWE soldiers, for lack of a better term, the WWE Universe hasn't really been catered to the last 7 years, maybe more. And that's a shame. But as we say on NoDQ, it is what it is. If the broken gimmick debuts in WWE, will it immediately get watered down as Met will not have creative freedom? I think they'll give the Hardys more freedom than you believe. I mean, they're kind of teasing the delete stuff, and they were kind of broken on Monday Night Raw this past week. More broken than they have been to WWE since they arrived at WrestleMania. So if they go through with the settlement and Anthem does in fact give the WWE licensing to do the broken gimmick, then I think we'll see not as good in TNA, so maybe a little watered down, but I think it'll be okay. Do you think James Ellsworth has run his course, or is there something WWE can do with him at this point? I don't know. He had a course to run. He's the most controversial guy in recent memory because he helped Carmella win the briefcase more than once in the first ever female Money in the Bank ladder match, which was detrimental to the cause in general. I think they should get rid of him. I never liked him. He was a funny character at first, but now he's just like obnoxious to the point where he has like x-pac heat. Not good. I love Sean. I love you, Sean. I love Sean to pieces. I always have. But the x-pac heat is not good. Ellsworth has it for sure. Nobody likes his ass. Why is it that even after 5 hours of TV every week, talents are struggling to get TV time? Because they're not pushing everybody equally. That's been the problem for every WWE. Roman gets this, and Cena gets this, and Rollins gets this, and then everybody. It's a tiered situation, kind of like the price in Disneyland nowadays. And it's a tiered situation. If everybody was to be pushed with equal time, they would get more people over, but they don't do that, and that's their choice. That's their prerogative. That's Vince's prerogative. He's the boss. If they would allow more talent to be showcased on TV in an equal manner, they would be better off with talent getting themselves pushed and over. There you go. Daniel Lynch, at Lynch Daniel 2. Who would you like to see in the Impact Zone, and which wrestlers should they bring in? I would have said Cody Rhodes a year ago, but he's doing great in Ring of Honor. He is Ring of Honor World Champion, so not him. I would have said Alberto, but he's in trouble, and he's already been there recently. He's a champion, and now he's in trouble. Of everybody that's not in the Impact Zone in WWE yet, I would honestly like to see oh goodness, let me think here. Probably, you know what? I'll come back to that one because I really can't think of it right now. Alex Boney, our good buddy at Boney SRL. Where does Brock Lesnar rank in your list of greatest wrestlers of all time? He's definitely up there. Brock is a main event marquee name talent. He has been from the beginning almost. He went away for a very long time and then came back and was immediately put in the main event spot. So that says a lot about his drawing power. Dana White saw it. That's why they signed him for UFC. Japan saw it. That's why he worked in New Japan. And Vince saw it, the goal of bringing him back in. So the Triple H saw that more than Vince did. Triple H is the one that brought Brock back. Blech. Probably top 20 all time. Top 20. Virtue, our NoDQ co-conspirator. Since the 10th anniversary of Talk Wrestling, is Ty Dillinger ever going to get over with this 10 gimmick on the main roster, especially with management? If so, how? I think Ty will be a great hand in WWE. I don't think he'll ever be the champion. Maybe Intercontinental, maybe U.S. You know what show he ends up being on full time. Right now he's on SmackDown, so he could be a U.S. champion. But there's so much main event talent now competing for the secondary titles that it's a problem for the company to get a lower to middle of the mid card guy established in the upper mid card as Intercontinental U.S. champion because they have AJ Styles, they have The Miz, they have Dean Ambrose, they have all these guys that have been world champions that are now competing for the secondary championships, and it's detrimental to the guys like Shawn Michaels was, like Brett was, like Scott Hall was, that were not quite world championship ready, but they were ready for the Intercontinental Championship, and that's what that title was. So I think that's a problem. Let's see. What else we got here? We've got Daz at D Productions 101. What is the next step for women's wrestling? The Mae Young Classic. I am looking forward to this. This tournament involving 32 of the best women in the world right now, wrestling-wise. We're going to see Tessa Blanchard, who is my pick. The legacy is there. The pedigree is there. She's my pick to win right now, but we'll see who else is at it. We're gonna if they add Candice LeRae, I will pick her. That's my girl. I've been a fan of Candace for, God, over 10 years now, since PWG days. It's a long time. I didn't realize how long it was. It is. That's the next step. Whoever wins that tournament is going to be the next showcased female talent in North America. And it'll be a huge thing for women's wrestling. It'll be a huge thing for WWE for sure. Lance, the producer at Breakout Star. Should Apollo Crews request a release? Why? They're finally doing something with him, with Titus. Why release him now? I released him a year ago, sure. Not brought him up to NXT yet, sure. From NXT yet, sure. But releasing now, that seems like a waste of time. Let's see where it goes with him and Titus first. This is from AJ Lee / Page Fan at AJ Page Fan. Do you think they're making Alexa Bliss into AJ Lee? Maybe in terms of the sexy psycho, shall we say. Alexa's definitely got a little bit of a couple screws loose as far as her character goes. So that, I kind of see where you're going with that, AJ Page Fan. But Alexa is going to be. I said this on the hashtag WWE Balls wrap up show. Alexa's my favorite superstar on WWE right now, Raw or SmackDown, male or female. She is just tremendous, and she's going places. Has WWE dropped the ball with Charlotte on SmackDown Live? Yes. Thank you very much. I'm glad somebody else said that besides me. Charlotte should be the flagship of whatever brand she's on. She was in NXT. She was on Raw. She should be on SmackDown. She should be the champion already. And this little 5-way match, they've got a Battleground coming up next weekend. I'd like to see Charlotte win that and then slowly evolve, or maybe quickly evolve back to cocky heel Charlotte and win the championship back, or win the championship for the first time. That'd be great. Bruce Grover Jr., what segment of wrestling made you pop and mark out the most? 27 years worth of asking, but I will address it. There's two. WrestleMania 7, the Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth reuniting. I cried at 7 years old. I cried to this day. 8 years old. I was 8 years old. I cried at 8 years old. I cry to this day when I see that. I mark out so much that I a huge pop. The other one was August 9th, 1999, WCW Monday Nitro. It was Kevin Nash, Sid Vicious, and Rick Steiner against Sting, the Man Goldberg, and Hollywood Hogan in the main event of Nitro. Everybody came to the ring except Hogan. When they're waiting for Hollywood's music to hit, all of a sudden, American Made hits. Out walks the Hulkster, red and yellow, belt around his waist, the big pose. The red and yellow was back, and I still watched it on the network and just like I go crazy. It was an amazing moment, an amazing time, and I wish they'd done something with it. Something. Let's see. Dusty Hansen at Hot Wiles. Sorry about that. I love the Chavo Eddie feud in WCW and thought Chavo was great on the mic. Do you think he was underutilized in WWE? Yes and no. I've never been a big fan of Chavo myself. I know people liked his talent. He was great in WCW. He was funnier than hell in WCW. But I don't think that character would have really worked in WWE once he and Eddie broke up. And once Eddie passed, for sure. The whole thing with Mysterio was very depressing and very sad to see him turn on the ring like that. It was like, okay, whatever. It led to a few good matches, a good feud, but it wasn't. Chavo really never got into that spot he was in WCW, and that was a shame. Do I like Chavo personally as a wrestler? No, but he's very talented, and he should have got more of his due. All right, last question for today. I will save the other 10 questions for next week. If they're relevant, if not, I'll figure it out. Do you think, this is from Michael DeSanti at Mikey Mike 9285. Do you think we will ever see CM Punk in a WWE ring again? Somebody asked me this during the live chat on, it was Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was. I did the live chat on YouTube. I believe we will, to be honest with you, but it's going to take a lot of healing time and a lot of work on both sides to heal those nasty, nasty wounds that have been inflicted on both sides by both sides. It was an ugly split. It was very, very not amicable at all. It was just very ugly. So I think we'll have to wait and see what happens on that. I had a lot of people ask me what my favorite moment in talk wrestling was. The entire 10-year history of talk wrestling. Some people ask me that, so I'll get to that right now. My favorite moment in talk wrestling history was, honestly, it was the end back in April when I retired and was going to walk away for good. And I only say it was because the outpouring of emotion, the outpouring of response that I got, knowing that everybody out there actually cared, was very sweet. And I thought that was very awesome. That's my favorite moment. So when we come back here on Talk Wrestling, we will be joined by the one, the only, Jexy. Be right back. Welcome back to Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com. And as you can see, I am joined by a very special guest. She is, she I feel is going to be the one that, not to be selfish, reinvigorates my managerial career. This lady has been posting videos on YouTube talking about her training, talking about she's going to move halfway across the country just to get herself properly trained for wrestling. She is the future. She is Jexy. What's up, darling?
Hey, yo. I have something for you. I pulled this out of my closet when I was packing.
Now, see, if you'd have sent that to me last month, I could have taken it and got Sean autographed for you, see?
I know. Yeah. Thank you for very excited.
It's great to have you on. We actually, her and I were talking when Shawn Michaels was here last month in Southern California making an appearance, and she mentioned that she was an inspiration for her, along with Triple H and the Hardys, and of course, the ninth wonder of the world, Chyna, who was a dear friend of NoDQ.com when she was with us. I mentioned you're going to start to train to be a wrestler, but what really got you to this point? What made you decide, hey, I'm going to be a professional wrestler? I'm going to be the next big superstar in wrestling. Where'd you get here?
Well, I'm 32 years old, but I've loved professional wrestling since I was probably about 10. I grew up in Lima, Ohio, which is where Al Snow's from, so he had a big influence on me growing up. Loved ECW, loved WWF, WCW, all of that, and I think it's just something that came very natural to me, something that I always understood. It spoke to me and still does speak to me in ways that I can't really explain. It gives me adrenaline rush that there's no feeling like it. It's the most incredible thing in the world. And the first time that I ever went to a show, to a live show, it took my breath away. I thought it was the most amazing thing, and it just snowballed from there. And I was very, very lucky. My mom fell in love with wrestling too, so she became my road cat, and we would literally go everywhere. You know, if it was in Ohio, we were there. If it was within a 2,000-mile radius, we were there. You know, we drove 12 hours to SummerSlam. Like, everything wrestling is why I love wrestling.
That's amazing. I can't imagine going 12 hours to do anything, let alone a wrestling show with a bunch of crazy people. That's crazy.
That's actually how I met Joni. That's how I met Chyna.
That's right. You mentioned that to me in our private chat. Now, Joni, Aaron will attest to this when we talk later on a private chat, but we had Joni on our show a couple times during the old Extreme Mayhem and XNV days, and we met her at a time that she was kind of a sort of a lost soul, and it was very hard. It was very hard knowing that she had left us without me really having any sense of closure with her. But you were friends with her on a more personal level than even I can imagine. You had a letter from her, and you spoke with her on a semi-regular basis. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I did. The way that it actually really all started was, as I said, her book had just come out, right. And it was her Playboy. Sorry, had just come out, and she was nowhere near Ohio. I would religiously log on to it was wwf.com/appearances.
Right.
And I would
yep.
every single day to see like who was going to be where, you know, and then plan the trip out of where we were going to go. Chyna was never anywhere close, ever. And like my birthday was coming up, so I told my mom I want to go see Chyna, and she knew that. So we planned out the trip. We drove to New York, and I met her, and she just happened to be doing appearance the next day in New Jersey. And I told her, I said, I'll be in New Jersey next day. So I went and I met her, and at the end of it, she had actually set aside like 20 minutes for me specifically to hang out with her when the appearance was over. So we exchanged numbers, we exchanged, addresses, and she would write me, I'd write her back. She ended up getting online, getting email. We would email back and forth, and it was crazy for me because I loved her so much. I loved everything about her. And when all of that happened, when she left WWF, although it had nothing to do with me, it broke my heart too, because I know how badly it hurt her.
Yep.
It destroyed her. It really, really did.
It did.
And I hadn't talked to her for a while. I would say this was probably about 2002. And it was December going into June where I had not heard from her. And all of a sudden I got an email from her out of nowhere, and she was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know Sean and I got engaged last night. X-pac.
Yeah. Right.
And she had told me the only person that knew was her sister Kathy and myself. Right,
Kathy. I remember that. Yeah.
And, I was very excited for her. Of course, I felt that she knew what she was doing. And again, I was young. I was like 16, 17 at the time. So I was young myself.
Right.
And I had other friends that knew her, and we would email back and forth. And then one day, her friend Connie emailed me, and she said, I just got off the phone with Joni, and she was so out of her mind that she didn't even know what she was talking about. She was talking about aliens in her refrigerator, UFOs. She was just so far gone that she couldn't even make sense of what she was saying.
Right.
Within the next couple of months, Joni was in jail. Connie, this person, had actually flown out with Kathy to go see Joni. Joni was in jail for 3 days.
Yep.
So out of her mind that she didn't know who her sister was. She didn't know, and this was about the same time as the Howard Stern appearance.
I will attest to that because I was at her house when she got arrested. So yeah, I know the whole story. I was almost on Stern that week. Actually, they actually had called me on my way to work, and I went through a train tunnel and lost the signal. So yeah, it was a very, very weird week.
Yeah, and so what she was going through, and that it was not the Joni that we knew, the beautiful soul that she's incredibly intelligent. She's the heart of gold that she had. Right. She respected everyone. She was such an incredibly strong person that to watch her fall was so heartbreaking, because she would push you away if you tried to tell her, Joni, what you're doing is harming you. And I went through that. There was periods where she did not talk to me for a while because I expressed that to her and I let it be known. And but I understood, especially as I started to get older, I understood why. Because when you are under the influence and your mind is gone like that, you're not rational, and that's just, it's what happened.
Yep.
But as you said, I think that she is in a better place now. I think that she is at peace. Finally.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, with me, it was more of we had the entire summer 2000, the second half of 2004, we had become close friends, and then when she went to jail and she was arrested, and her and Sean broke up for that final time, I remained friends with Sean.
Sure.
And it was made clear to me by people in her camp at the time that if I was going to be friends with Sean, that I could not be friends with Joni. I said, well, I can't have people telling me who my friends are, so tell her I will always love her. And that was the last time I ever spoke with anybody on her side until I spoke with the people arranging her memorial service and all that when she passed away. And that was interesting too. But
sure.
Yeah. So from meeting China and growing up, since you said about 10 years old, so you were watching in the Attitude Era for sure. You mentioned I mentioned at the top of the thing you're influenced by DX and by the Hardys.
Sure.
How jazzed are you? The Hardys are back. Oh my God.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I just want to touch on one thing real quick. I just want to say Sean did try to help her. He was not.
No. Oh no, he totally did. And
Yeah.
that's what surprised me with the whole you can't be friends with both thing. I was like, but he's trying to help her.
He did. He genuinely did. And there was a lot of people around her that, enabled her to continue to harm herself. But that's
exactly
because Sean, he really did try to help her.
No, Sean is one of those rare souls that, he's been to the brink and back, and he's a better person for it. I love Sean to pieces. I always have.
Yeah. Sean's a great person. He really, really is. He's a survivor.
Yes.
But yes, the Hardy Boys being back is amazing. I never thought I would see it. I think it's really, really crappy that the whole TNA, politic drama has to go on with, the Delete character, but it is what it is. When they came back at WrestleMania, I did not expect that.
No, none of us did.
Absolutely blown away that I would have to say that is one of the top moments that I've had in probably the last 10 years. From watching them versus the Bucks the night before, then they come out on WrestleMania. I literally hit the floor. I was in tears. I was dancing, screaming. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Well, it was funny when Woods was talking about bringing in a new team, and I couldn't hear the crowd chanting at the time, and they came out. Of course, I exploded, went through the roof. I went back. My son went back and watched Mania a couple days ago, and I was watching it again. You could totally hear everybody going, delete, delete. I went, oh. So they knew. Like Jeff. So totally spaced on that. The Hardys are a great example, I think, of Vince's old catchphrase, anything can happen. I was sure that with all of Jeff's drug problems, all of Matt's, personal issues and everything, they would never be back, and here they are. And I think it's awesome.
But the Hardy Boys, the thing about them is it's like Joni. It really, really truthfully is. They are, because I had the absolute pleasure of not knowing them, but they knew who I was growing up. I used to go see them all of the time at appearances, and they definitely knew who I was. In a testament to just the fact they were always professional about wrestling and how they conducted themselves. Yeah, they had some bad decisions and some bad shit that they went through in their lives.
Yes.
We all do. But I think at the same time, where they are now is also a testament to, if you really want something bad enough, you will make it happen. And it doesn't mean that because you've made a bad decision in your life that's it and that defines you by it. I'm going to get at real quick is the Brian Pillman Memorial. I don't know if you remember that, but they used to have it in the early 2000s.
Yep.
In Ohio. And I had the honor and pleasure of being able to go to a few of them. And one of the last ones that they did, the Hardy Boys were actually there. Edge and Christian was there. They had a ton of people. It was so, it was amazing. The talent that they had on that card. DDP was there. Kevin Nash was there. It was amazing. But the main event was Matt and Jeff Hardy. Matt was already there. Because what they would do prior to the show is they would have all of the talent in kind of like a barn. And you would pay for a picture. Everybody would stand in line, and it was just like one talent after the other lined up against the wall. And you could pick
yeah.
me, But Matt was there, and there was no sign of Jeff. Nobody knew where Jeff was. So when the show started, everybody was doing their thing, and you're getting later on in the card, and you're like, okay, well, where's the Hardy Boys, right? They came out, and they said, Jeff Hardy has just gotten to the building. It was a completely non-profit event. His flight had been canceled. He paid out of his own pocket to be flown to that event, to go wrestle for 20 minutes, to make literally nothing, to get back on a plane to go home.
All for Brian and the fans. That's awesome.
Yeah, the 100%. And that's how they literally, genuinely always have been. They're good people. And they will always rise because of that. And that will always shine, and that will always show through. I 100% believe that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Hardys rising to the top and rising back, almost from the brink now. Let's talk about you for a minute. Let's get into where okay, you grew up in Ohio, and then right now you're in San Diego, not too far from me. Well, far enough where I can't drive my ass down there. But why go back to Ohio? Why not get training with, say, somebody here? Why go back to the hometown to get the training done?
That's home. It's home. And the person that I want to train with is somebody that I respect deeply, that I have followed for years. I respect their work. I respect them as a person. And I feel like that's where I belong. I feel like I belong back home. And as much as San Diego is beautiful and the weather is beautiful, I'm also not happy being out here. Wrestling is not the epitome. I guess it's not out here the way that it is back home.
Definitely. I would agree with that.
The scene's not as big. And then also for me to train out here, I would have to change my schedule in ways that it's really not worth it to me when I'm going to be much happier going back home.
Makes sense.
Plus, I'm also ending relationships. So I'm kind of like restarting everything, quitting my job. I'm quitting. I'm doing everything.
Complete, delete, and reboot. I love it. I love it. So before I let you go, I got to ask you, why the transition from your real name to Jexy? Where did that evolve from?
Where the name actually came from is pretty simple. All of the people that have been really important and huge influences in my life, their real names all start with J. From my mom to my grandpa, to Jeff Hardy, to Joni. So I was actually creating a name for a game, and my real name being Amanda. They had said, what about Alexis? Give me Lexi. What about Jexy? And then we'll keep the Y like China, Jexy with a Y. And then like the more I started playing with it, then it became the jury, the judge, the executioner, evolved the character from there. And then again, like you have heard my promo being May 21st, Judgment Day, my birthday, just kind of all rolled into that.
Wow.
Yeah. True.
Well, I got to say, I think that's a hell of a way. I mean, see, I always was just Jeff Meacham. I just kind of like, they always say, kind of like up your ante, up your volume a little bit to the 10th degree to do your character. I never really got a character name except in the video games. So for you to totally take the gaming name and go, I'm going to do this with my wrestling career, I think that's amazing. And I got to say, this has been one of my favorite interviews I ever did on this show. It was brief, but it was fun. And I cannot wait for us to start working together once you come back to California, love.
For sure. Can I ask you a question real quick for your Talk Wrestling?
Well, by all means. I already did the questions earlier, but let's go ahead and get one more question in for the people, by all means.
Well, one from you. So I've watched a lot of them. And you had said in 2009 that your favorite Mania match was Taker and, of course, Shawn Michaels. Mm-hmm. In 2017, what is your favorite Mania match?
Oh, my goodness. On the spot, I got to love this. Aaron's on the headset telling me, come on, hurry up. Let me think.
Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler.
That's right. Goodness. Honestly, I don't think a WrestleMania match has surpassed that for me since 2009. I think for everything that Steamboat Savage was, I think Shawn Michaels and Undertaker went up to the nth level, the nth degree, if you will. And I don't think a match is going to top that going forward unless somebody really, unless those UK kids get a match on WWE TV, then it'll be a whole other different story. But for now, I think
it'll be crazy. Pete Dunne, going places.
Pete Dunne. I mean, the fact that they had JR and Nigel calling that match just helped it out that much more. But those two kids, and I can call them kids because I'm 10 years older than both of them.
Same.
They astounded me, and that's been the match of this year, 2017. But WrestleMania overall, matches, moments. Honestly, the best match I ever saw was Michaels and Undertaker 2009. But my favorite match of WrestleMania was Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels from 2008 because I was there live to see Nate retire.
And that was good too. It was really, really, really good.
It really was, and it was one of those moments that TNA signed him, and he wrestled a few times, but it's one of those moments that no matter how much you try to dilute it, diminish it over the years, it still sticks out fresh in your mind.
Yeah. For sure. It was great. And I thought it was cool how Flair kind of gave the nudge to Shawn at the end.
He really did. He was like, come on. Just and God, the whole thing was, I'm sorry, I love you. I still cry thinking about it now. It was just, it was such an amazing moment for a guy who had given 35 years to everything in this craft, in this business. And, you know, if that doesn't inspire you to have a career, I don't know what does, honestly.
Yeah. It's the end goal, WrestleMania.
That's it, WrestleMania and future WWE Women's Champion, one brand or the other.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. There you go. Get the ring on. Get the ring on. There you go. I love it. That's right. So we will be right back to close the show out. But Jexy, thank you so much, and we will see you in the future for sure.
I appreciate you. Really. Thank you.
We'll be right back. And we are back here on Talk Wrestling, being joined now by the man, the myth, the legend himself, the owner, creator, decider of NoDQ, Aaron Riff. Thanks for being on with me, buddy.
Good to be on for Talk Wrestling's 10-year anniversary. Happy to be here. I do have something I would like to show you. Remember this?
I do remember that, yes, because that sat either here or here next to me during the show, and we showed the picture of it on the big part of the screen.
Yep.
Yeah, that was why we started this show 10 years ago, because XMV had died the previous year, and we were kind of doing stuff with Lee, kind of doing the whole NoDQ TV thing, but it really wasn't going anywhere. And then, of course, the biggest story in wrestling history happens, and we got to do something about it. So here we were.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there's one more thing I wanted to show you.
Here we go.
I bought this right after the news broke. I went over to the store. I forgot which one it was. CVS, I think. And
if it was by your house, wasn't it the old KB Toys that went out of business after that?
I'm not sure, but I think it was a CVS. I just walked in there and I found the one Benoit figure left, so I decided to pick it up for posterity. So I got that. I got the magazine here, still in mint condition. Not sure if it's worth anything, but it's a nice souvenir to have from wrestling history.
It is scary to me that today marks 10th anniversary for Talk Wrestling, and in 3 months, we're going to have the anniversary for Extreme Mayhem, 15 years.
Does that mean we have to get you and a certain someone back together?
I have no problem with that whatsoever. Well, but it all depends what the other side wants to say. If he wants to be on, I'll have him on.
Never say never. You know, I'm talking about maybe bringing back NoDQ CAW. I'm not sure if you heard the news, but they are doing WWE 2K18 on Nintendo Switch, which means for the first time, I can actually buy a WWE video game, and I think I might consider doing something. So this could be the year of reunions and comebacks for all NoDQ projects.
You know, I have a beef with you on NoDQ CAW there, boss man. I gotta tell you,
you're a former champion.
I am. Well, I'm supposed to be, but I went and looked up the wiki entry for NoDQ CAW. No mention of Jeff Meacham.
Really?
Whatsoever.
Well, I'm not responsible for that. I'm not sure who put that together, but somebody out there needs to edit that.
I beat the legendary Zatoichi. Is that what his name was?
Zatoichi, the Japanese flying swordsman.
The legendary Zatoichi, flying swordsman.
He's not a flying swordsman.
Whatever. I don't care what you said. I'm gonna put myself over here. It's my show. I beat that guy, and then I defended it vigorously against the evil Mr. Excitement and the calm co-host I had on that show. And Mr. Excitement never came to claim his title, so I'm still technically the uncrowned champion.
That is true. Oh, wait a minute. I thought we had that big brawl at the end of XMV with everybody, and you somehow walked away with the title.
I walked away with my title. Kyle walked away with his.
That's true. So you did technically leave with the CAW championship. You were the last champion.
And I have the belt still. So.
Well, you know what? When WWE 2K18 comes out, I'm going to have to make Jeff Meacham on that game, and maybe Jeff Meacham versus Aaron Riff steel cage match.
Oh my goodness, for the undisputed NoDQ CAW championship.
We'll have to get Wayne Needham to do commentary for that, for old time's sake.
Well, if I happen to lose the title, maybe I'll join the commentary team after that. What do you think?
That would be interesting. Just like, who was it? Was it you? Who did commentary for that one wrestling show years ago?
That was me and Mr. Excitement and Erica Porter for a match.
So you have a little bit of experience doing color commentary.
I do. I actually had talked to promoter out here in California besides the one I did in City of Industry about play-by-play, and ended up signing somebody else, which is fine because I didn't have an experience like that. But when Wade got with Jesse, I was like, that's awesome because Wade's perfect voice for that. He's got that wrestling announcer voice that just works so well for him. It really does.
Right. So, since this is the 10-year anniversary of Talk Wrestling, I figured maybe I would ask you a question for your show. I don't think that's ever happened before. I don't
think in 10 years you've ever done that. That's true.
I have to ask you the question. 10 years later, is Nancy Grace still an effing idiot?
Yes. Yes. She totally is. Because she is very much, I'm not trying to make a comparison in terms of philosophies of life in this situation, but she's very much the O.J. Simpson of media coverage. And I'll tell you why. O.J. allegedly, we don't know for sure, allegedly killed 2 people and got away with it. But rather than ride off into the sunset a free man, rather than do his thing, he commits robbery and goes to jail for 30-something years, which proves he's a freaking idiot. Nancy Grace did what she did to wrestling 10 years ago, still kept her job, and kept chirping, and finally got lambasted by whoever hired her at the time. She's now working somewhere else, I think, which makes them an idiot for hiring her for anything.
Well, she's on Good Morning America. They bring her in all the time.
ABC hired her on purpose?
They have her as a correspondent for like every major crime story they do.
Wow, that amazes me that ABC, because I'm usually a fan of ABC News. We watch ABC News in this house as far as the nightly news and everything, and we watch GMA.
Okay, well, anyways, my other question to you is, when was King Kong Bundy's last match on Raw? Who did he face?
Oh.
I'm putting you on the spot here.
Wow.
I just figured like the most random question I doubt you know the answer to.
I'm going to say it was a preliminary jobber on Raw.
Well, no. Who did he face in his last match?
Some jobber, right?
No.
Who was it?
He was part of a battle royal.
Aw, see, trick question.
I know. See, I had to stump the professor.
On
your own show. Sabotage you on your own show.
We need to bring that back. Stump the professor. Do a whole trivia thing with somebody. Now that we're having fans be on the show, we should do it. We should do a panel with me.
Yeah, didn't we do that back in XM where we had somebody come on a trivia competition?
We had fans on the show, and Mike brought them on to Stump the Professor, and it almost never worked.
You know what? I really like that idea. We just came up with something here on the spot where we did a trivia video every week, in addition to NoDQ video and Talk Wrestling, wrestling trivia. And I could be the moderator. I'll ask 5 questions to you and the opponent, and, it'll be a best of 5 or whatever. And in the event of a tie, we do another question or whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out the format to do it where we can do a trivia challenge. I'll be the moderator, and you're not going to have any idea what the questions are. Same with the other person. And we'll say, you guys have, 10 seconds to answer the question, and then we'll just go back and forth until one guy gets the best of 5 or the best of 9 or whatever we want to do.
Book it.
I'm going to book it. You guys, anybody who wants to challenge Jeff Meacham for wrestling trivia, go ahead and send us a message. You can actually email me, same email for sending in your submissions for potential panel discussion videos. NoDQMISC@gmail.com. That is the email. It will also be in the description box on YouTube. Make sure you leave a comment on NoDQ.com. I will be responding to people on there. Maybe Jeff will respond. Have you even been on the discuss comments on NoDQ?
I have not been on those. I've been responding more on YouTube than I ever used to, which is a step up for me.
NoDQ and respond to people because I want more fan interaction there. So go ahead and respond to some of the people. You guys leave a comment on NoDQ.com and submit your entries if you would like to be on one of the fan panels, or if you would like to challenge Jeff Meacham to a trivia contest. I'm digging this. I totally forgot about that. We used to do it back in the day, 13, 14 years ago. That should be a lot of fun.
It will be fun. Let me close Talk Wrestling today by saying this. To everybody that has watched the last 10 years, to everybody that has supported me over the 10 years of doing this show with my family here, be it the wrestling fans, be it the superstars we had on the interviews, RVD and Terry Runnels and everybody. And to you, boss man, thank you so much for everything the last 10 years, 15 really for my whole career, but 10 of doing this show. I cannot believe it's 10 years. Here's to 10 more. Why not?
I have to say thank you. That's the truth, because you've been such a big part of the site and the channel and helping it grow over the years. I mean, we have 54,000 subscribers, but you helped bring in like 30,000 of those subscribers. So you definitely played your role in the growth of this channel, and I'm glad that a new generation of analysts are coming along and they're saying, you're somebody that inspired them to do videos about wrestling.
I love how everybody in our staff now has told me that I inspire them and that they thank me for 10 years. Without me, there is no them. There is no panel show. And I found that very endearing that they chose to go on social media and single me out and say, thank you, Jeff, for everything the last 10 years. And I thank them for supporting me. And to everybody that has ever doubted me or hated on me or whatever, there you go.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Here you are. People come and go, but 10 years later, and really 15 years since XM first started, Extreme Mayhem, you're still here. So it says a lot.
I am literally the last man standing.
And, you try to walk away, and just like in The Godfather, just when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
That's right. And, by the way, cheap plug, Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I got the sticker right here. ProWrestlingTees.com. We got the shirts up there. You can check that out. That's a great way to support the site and support Talk Wrestling, support NoDQ, yada, yada, yada. And
you guys missed a 20% off sale over Independence Day. So that's your bad.
Yeah, that's gone now. But, you can still get a shirt, and
please do.
Every little contribution helps.
Yeah, so to the 10 of you I did not get the questions to today on the show earlier before we interviewed Jexy, the questions will be on next week's show for sure, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, this was like a loaded question. You had some loaded questions here. Not talking about the board game or anything. I'm talking about just you had a lot of questions, and it's just too many questions for one show. You got all this other stuff we've talked about here.
Well, we had planned to interview Jexy halfway through the show, and we did, and we ended up doing that. But the questions were going on so much, I didn't want to cut into Jexy's time, cut into this part where I wanted to close the show and thank everybody. So I was trying to find a happy balance. It just didn't. It was kind of crazy.
No, I think everything turned out really well, and I look forward to more. And this is a nice cliffhanger for the next episode, the continuation of the questions for the 10-year anniversary.
That's it. So, for Aaron Rift and everybody at NoDQ.com, this is Jeff Meacham saying we will see you next week.